Most people think that they are stuck, blocked, or lacking motivation, but the truth is far deeper and far more surprising. You are not failing because you are weak, lazy, or confused. You are not struggling because you lack intelligence or opportunities. You are blocked because your subconscious mind is still running on an ancient survival frequency. And that frequency has one main priority: stay safe, avoid threat, and repeat the familiar. Your subconscious does not care about your dreams, your goals, your potential, or your vision. It only cares about keeping you alive based on what it has previously known. And that single priority changes everything about how you see life, how you make decisions, and what you believe is possible for you. From the moment you wake up, your subconscious mind is scanning your environment, your thoughts, your sensations, and your emotions. But here's the twist most people never learn. It is not scanning for opportunities. It is scanning for danger. This programming is not modern, it is ancient. It comes from a time when survival depended on noticing what could go wrong faster than noticing what could go right. Thousands of years ago, the humans who focused on threat survived longer than the ones who were curious, adventurous, or optimistic. Being cautious, doubtful, alert, and sensitive to danger literally increased your chances of staying alive. That survival code has been passed down through your biology, your nervous system, and your subconscious mind. So without even realizing it, your mind is still working as if you were living in a jungle full of predators, not in a modern world filled with opportunities for growth, creativity, and expansion. This is why even when life is no longer physically dangerous, your mind still reacts as if it is. Public speaking feels like danger. Starting a business feels like danger. Posting your truth online feels like danger. Asking for support feels like danger. Showing vulnerability feels like danger. Making money, becoming visible, changing identity, or stepping into a higher version of yourself, all of it is subconsciously labeled as risky because it could lead to judgment, rejection, or uncertainty. And your subconscious still treats emotional discomfort like life-threatening danger. So when you think you are resisting success, you are actually resisting perceived danger. When you think you are procrastinating, you are actually protecting yourself. The problem is not your discipline, it is your subconscious definition of safety. Your subconscious operates up to 95% of your daily behavior, meaning most of your decisions, actions, emotional reactions, habits, and even thoughts are not chosen consciously, but are driven by your old programming. And because it is wired for safety, not success, it naturally pays more attention to what might go wrong, what might fail, what might hurt, or what might change your identity. The familiar feels safe, even if it is painful. The unknown feels unsafe, even if it holds everything you desire. This is why people stay in jobs they hate, relationships that hurt, mindsets that limit, and identities that shrink them. Not because they want to, but because the subconscious believes, it is safer to stay where I am than to step into what I cannot predict. When you hear phrases like comfort zone, it is not really about comfort, it is about safety. And when you hear fear of success, it is not really fear of success, it is fear of what success demands you to become, lose, or face. Success means change. Opportunity means uncertainty. Growth means identity death. And to the subconscious, identity death is no different than real death. So when you see an opportunity, you may get excited consciously, but your subconscious might immediately activate fear, doubt, or hesitation because it is designed to notice the potential danger inside that opportunity, not the reward. Understanding this changes everything because it separates your identity from your patterns. You are not the problem. Your subconscious programming is simply outdated for the world you now live in. The same mechanism that once kept humans alive is the same mechanism that now keeps modern humans stuck. But here's the good news. Once you understand that your mind is wired to detect threats, you can start rewiring it to recognize opportunities. Awareness is the first step to freedom. When you understand the programming, you are no longer controlled by it. When you understand that fear is a safety signal, not a truth signal, you can learn to choose differently. And this is the promise of this entire journey. You will learn how to shift from survival consciousness to expansion consciousness. You will learn how to upgrade your inner operating system so that growth feels safe, not dangerous. So that your subconscious becomes your ally, not your jailer. So that your inner frequency aligns with your outer desires. You are not here to fight your subconscious. You are here to educate it, rewire it, and help it evolve into the version that matches the life you want to create. The survival frequency may be your default, but it does not have to be your destiny. Once you understand this ancient code, you gain the power to rewrite it, and this is where your real transformation begins. If the subconscious is wired for survival and constantly scanning for threats, then the next thing we must understand is how it actually creates the version of reality we experience. Most people think reality is something outside of them, that they are simply observing. But in truth, you are not seeing life as it actually is. You are seeing life through a mental, emotional, and energetic filter built from your past. Your subconscious mind acts like a silent editor, deciding what information is allowed into your awareness and what gets deleted before you ever notice it. You are not interacting with the world directly. You are interacting with your interpretation of it. Two people can stand in the same moment, facing the same opportunity, and see completely different realities. One sees possibility, the other sees danger. One sees a door opening, the other sees a trap. The difference is not the world. The difference is internal programming. Your mind cannot process all the information available around you, so it selectively filters what aligns with your beliefs, emotions, safety patterns, and identity. This filtering system is partly psychological, partly neurological, and partly energetic. On a neuroscience level, the reticular activating system in your brainstem decides what to pay attention to based on what it believes matters for your survival. On an energetic and quantum level, your beliefs act like frequencies, attracting and highlighting experiences that match the vibration you were already holding. This means your subconscious is not only interpreting the world, it is literally shaping the world you notice. You will always become more aware of what aligns with who you think you are and what you think is safe. Anything that contradicts that, even if it is positive, is often ignored, dismissed, or misunderstood. This is why two people can receive the exact same opportunity. One person sees it as a breakthrough, while the other doesn't even notice it or believes it is too good to be true. People say things like, "There are no opportunities for me." But what they really mean is, my subconscious mind doesn't believe I am safe, capable, or worthy enough to see or take them. The world is not lacking opportunity, it is overflowing with it. But if your subconscious is still locked in survival frequency, you will be more aware of risks, flaws, threats, and potential losses than pathways, solutions, allies, and possibilities. What makes this even more powerful is how past emotional experiences become filters. If you were once laughed at, abandoned, rejected, judged, shamed, or punished for trying, your subconscious creates a rule: trying is unsafe. If you were taught that success brings jealousy, attention, pressure, or responsibility, your subconscious creates another rule: success is unsafe. If love was unpredictable, painful, or conditional, your subconscious creates the rule: love is unsafe. These rules are not decided logically, they are coded emotionally. The subconscious does not care whether these beliefs limit you, it only cares whether they protect the familiar emotional pattern. Because your subconscious is so loyal to familiar safety, it will subconsciously guide your attention away from anything that challenges your current identity. If your identity is built around struggle, you may not recognize ease even if it is in front of you. If your identity is built around being unseen, opportunities for visibility may feel uncomfortable or threatening. If your identity is built around being independent, support may seem untrustworthy. The subconscious has no concept of better, only known. So when life presents you with a chance to expand, your subconscious filters reality in a way that keeps you aligned with who you were, not who you want to become. Quantum principles show us that our attention is not passive, it is creative. What you focus on expands, but what you do not focus on might as well not exist in your reality. It's not that it isn't there, it's that your perception does not activate it as a possibility. Your beliefs act like frequency instructions, and the subconscious aligns your focus with those instructions. If you believe opportunities are rare, your mind highlights scarcity. If you believe people cannot be trusted, your mind will notice only signs of betrayal. If you believe abundance is real, you will start to notice pathways that were always there but hidden behind fear. This also explains why awareness changes everything. The moment you question your automatic thoughts, you begin to weaken old filters. When you realize you are filtering, not simply observing, you gain power. You begin to see that reality is not fixed, It is flexible. When you shift inner belief, identity, emotional meaning, and sense of safety, you shift the lens, and the world looks different, feels different, and offers different choices. Nothing outside may have changed, yet everything changes. The deepest truth is this: you are not a powerless observer trapped inside a fixed world. You are a consciousness projecting meaning into a field of infinite potential possibilities. But to access more of those possibilities, your subconscious must update its definition of what is safe to perceive, hold, and receive. The invisible filter is not your enemy. It is simply outdated. Once you learn how to adjust it, your awareness will naturally expand, and with it, your reality. Now that you understand how the subconscious filters reality, we can go even deeper into the real reason people say they want change, yet never fully step into it. On the conscious level, you have desires, goals, dreams, visions, and intentions. You want more abundance, more confidence, more peace, more freedom, more alignment, more purpose, more love, and more expansion. But wanting something consciously does not mean you have permission for it subconsciously. This is where a hidden conflict begins. The conscious mind is focused on potential, but the subconscious mind is focused on protection. When those two internal forces are not aligned, there is a silent war inside you, and the subconscious will always win because it controls more of your behavior, decisions, energy, and emotional responses. This mismatch creates what feels like invisible resistance. You may say yes to your dreams, but your body says no. You may plan for success, but you postpone the actions. You may desire to evolve, but you cling to what feels familiar. This is not failure, it is a safety mechanism. The subconscious considers anything unfamiliar as unsafe until proven otherwise. So even if your conscious mind believes success, wealth, love, visibility, or transformation are positive, the subconscious may interpret them as risky. It does not evaluate your dreams based on happiness, fulfillment, or purpose. It evaluates them based on survival memory. For example, imagine you consciously want financial freedom. That is logical and desirable. But if your subconscious has stored emotional memories associated with loss, tension, rejection, pressure, judgment, or failure around money, then a part of you may fear the identity that financial freedom requires. You might fear being seen as selfish, different, or responsible for others. You might fear making mistakes or losing everything you gain. The subconscious then sends protective signals such as anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism, overthinking, or self-doubt, not because you can't achieve money, but because your survival memory believes it might cost you safety, belonging, or love. This same pattern happens in relationships. Someone may consciously want deep love and emotional closeness, but if their subconscious associates vulnerability with abandonment or pain, then intimacy becomes a perceived threat. So they may pull away, choose unavailable partners, create arguments, or numb their emotions not because love is unwanted, but because love is unsafe according to old emotional coding. And this happens across every area of life: health, visibility, authenticity, creativity, spirituality, leadership, and purpose. The subconscious always prioritizes the familiar emotional pattern, even if it is uncomfortable. Familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar happiness. This is why affirmations, motivation, and conscious effort alone do not create lasting change. You can visualize, journal, plan, and set goals, but if the subconscious has not upgraded its safety definition, the internal system will treat your expansion as a threat instead of a natural evolution. It will slow you down, distract you, numb you, or keep you looping because safety is its highest value. And it is important to understand that the subconscious does not respond to words, it responds to emotional truth. It wants to know only one thing: can we survive this? This brings us to a powerful realization. Your subconscious is not against your dreams, It is simply loyal to your identity. It believes that who you have been is who you must continue to be to stay alive. The identity you currently live from was formed through emotional repetition, not conscious choice. Most of your internal rules were created when you were young, impressionable, and dependent on others for safety, love, and approval. So if being quiet kept you safe, your adult self may struggle with speaking publicly. If being good or obedient kept you accepted, your adult self may struggle with boundaries or self-expression. If being unnoticed kept you protected, your adult self may resist visibility even if your conscious mind wants influence or impact. The subconscious is deeply literal and deeply associative. It does not analyze, question, or negotiate. It connects emotional experiences and forms identity from them. So when your conscious mind says, "I want to grow," but your subconscious remembers growth equals risk, your system will freeze, avoid, or redirect without you understanding why. The confusion is painful because it makes you doubt yourself. But once you see the mechanism, everything becomes clear. You were never fighting lack of desire. You were fighting lack of inner safety. The most important truth to understand is this: you cannot manifest or embody what you do not feel safe holding. You may consciously ask for more, but you will only receive and maintain what your subconscious has been trained to believe is normal, familiar, and survivable. Desire and identity must vibrate at the same energetic frequency for manifestation to become reality. When your inner state matches your outer intention, resistance dissolves, clarity emerges, and aligned action feels natural instead of forced. This is not about blaming the past. It is about understanding programming so you can reprogram it. You are not broken, blocked, or behind. You are simply running a subconscious system that was created to protect a previous version of you. And once you learn how to signal safety to your subconscious while expanding your identity, you unlock a level of flow, ease, clarity, and alignment that transforms how you create your reality. The next step is to learn how to do exactly that. Now that you understand the internal conflict between desire and safety, the next step is learning how to reprogram the subconscious so it no longer interprets growth as danger. You cannot bully, force, or push your subconscious into expansion. Pressure does not rewire it, and motivation alone cannot convince it. The subconscious changes through repeated experiences of safety, not through logical arguments. It needs to feel safe, not just hear it. This is where most people struggle. They try to think their way into transformation. But transformation is a nervous system and identity experience, not just a mental concept. The subconscious listens to emotion, sensation, and repetition, not just intention. The first step in reprogramming is understanding that fear does not mean stop. It means unfamiliar. The subconscious does not know the difference between danger and newness. It reacts to both with anxiety or hesitation. Instead of judging your reactions, you can begin observing them with compassion. When you feel resistance, pause and ask, is this actually dangerous, or is this simply unfamiliar? By separating emotional memory from current reality, you start to weaken the automatic fear response. Awareness is not just knowledge, it is the first moment of internal safety because you are no longer controlled by unconscious reaction. The second step is to introduce change in small, manageable doses. The subconscious does not like big jumps. It prefers gradual expansion. If you try to leap too far too fast, it will activate protection mode. This is why micro shifts are more powerful than dramatic changes. Small wins teach the subconscious, we did something new and we survived. Every time you take a tiny step toward your desire without harm, you deposit new evidence into your safety system. Over time, this evidence becomes stronger than old emotional memories, and the subconscious begins to upgrade its belief about what is safe. Transformation is not about shocking your system. It's about steadily expanding its definition of normal. The third step is nervous system regulation. When the body is calm, the subconscious is open and receptive. When the body is tense, the subconscious shuts down and protects. Breath, grounding, slow movement, presence, and gentle self-talk are not just relaxation tools, they are reprogramming signals. When you pair new actions with calm energy, the subconscious learns that expansion does not equal danger. The body becomes a safe place to evolve instead of a battlefield of pressure. A regulated body makes new identity possible because the subconscious feels it is not under threat. The fourth step is emotional reframing. Instead of interpreting fear as a stop sign, you begin seeing it as a sign of entering the next version of yourself. Fear becomes proof of growth, not proof of failure. When you feel nervous, you can tell your subconscious, "This is new, not dangerous," or "We are safe to explore," or "We can handle this at our pace." These are not empty affirmations, they are instruction signals. The subconscious does not need perfect confidence, it needs permission and reassurance. You become the internal leader instead of the internal child. The fifth step is identity rehearsal. The subconscious cannot move toward a future that feels unfamiliar, but it can move toward a future that feels rehearsed. When you mentally and emotionally practice being the version of yourself who already lives your desire, the subconscious begins integrating that identity as familiar instead of foreign. Visualization works not because it is mystical, but because it creates emotional familiarity. When an identity feels familiar, the subconscious no longer blocks it, it guides you toward it. You are not imagining fantasy, you are practicing safety in a new reality. The sixth step is environment alignment. The subconscious learns through repetition and association, so your surroundings influence your programming. If your current environment reinforces old identity, it becomes harder to change. Even small shifts matter. The content you consume, the conversations you allow, the habits you normalize, the spaces you choose, the symbols around you. Surroundings can either signal "stay the same" or "growth is normal." You do not have to radically change your world instantly, but intentional exposure to expansion-oriented environments teaches the subconscious that there is safety in evolution because others have survived and thrived in it. The final step is practicing gentle consistency instead of emotional intensity. The subconscious changes through frequency, not force. One breakthrough moment may inspire you, but it is repeated, aligned actions that rewire you. Every time you choose curiosity over avoidance, presence over panic, exploration over retreat, or authenticity over fear, you are telling your subconscious, "We grow and we survive at the same time." The new pattern becomes automatic not because you forced it, but because you lived it long enough for it to become normal. The most liberating truth is this: nothing inside you is trying to ruin your dreams. The part of you that resists change is the same part that once protected you. When you approach it with understanding instead of judgment, it begins to cooperate rather than defend. You shift from fighting yourself to leading yourself, and that inner harmony is the foundation of real transformation. When expansion feels safe, success becomes natural. When safety and desire align, resistance dissolves. Reprogramming is not about becoming someone new. It is about creating a version of yourself who no longer fears your own potential. Now that you understand how to reprogram the subconscious and teach it to feel safe with growth, the final step is stepping into the identity that naturally attracts, notices, and chooses opportunities. Opportunity is not something outside of you that randomly appears. It is something your identity becomes aligned enough to recognize, open to, and act upon. The world is full of possibilities, but you only gain access to the ones that match who you believe you are. When your identity rises, so does your reality. Becoming an opportunity magnet is not about forcing luck, hustling harder, or waiting for a miracle. It is about evolving into a version of yourself for whom opportunities feel normal, deserved, and aligned. Your identity is the energetic container that determines what you allow, what you dismiss, what you feel worthy of, and what you hold on to once you receive it. If your subconscious identity is rooted in scarcity, unworthiness, invisibility, or fear, then even if life hands you an opportunity, you might shrink from it, doubt it, sabotage it, or misinterpret it. But when your identity is rooted in capability, self-trust, worthiness, and expansion, you automatically recognize pathways that match your potential. You don't have to chase, beg, or force. Your energy communicates openness, and the world reflects it. Becoming the opportunity-seeking version of yourself means shifting your daily internal question. Instead of what could go wrong, you begin asking, what could go right? Instead of focusing on what you might lose, you begin noticing what you could learn or gain. Instead of protecting who you used to be, you begin serving who you are becoming. This is not fake positivity or delusion. It is a conscious decision to train your mind to see possibility where it would normally see threat. Every identity has a default pattern of focus. The survival identity scans for danger, while the expansion identity scans for alignment. An opportunity-aligned identity is built through three key qualities: self-trust, curiosity, and emotional resilience. Self-trust means believing that you can handle what life brings, even if you do not have all the answers yet. Curiosity means exploring without needing certainty first. Emotional resilience means knowing that discomfort does not equal danger. When these qualities become natural, opportunity no longer feels heavy, risky, or overwhelming. It feels like part of your evolution. You no longer wait to be fully ready. You move and gain readiness through movement. You no longer need to guarantee the outcome. You trust your ability to adapt and learn. As you shift into this identity, you begin speaking differently to yourself. You replace doubts with exploration, hesitation with awareness, and fear with grounded presence. Instead of thinking, "What if I fail?" you begin asking, "What if this is my doorway?" Instead of saying, "I'm not ready," you say, "I am willing to learn on the way." These micro phrases matter because language is identity reinforcement. Every sentence you repeat is a signal, and every signal becomes a belief, and every belief becomes a pattern, and every pattern becomes a life. Your environment and daily habits also become extensions of your identity. When you exist in places, conversations, content, and relationships that reinforce your expansion, your subconscious automatically calibrates upward. When you surround yourself with possibility, your nervous system begins to normalize it. When you celebrate risks instead of failures, your subconscious shifts from fear-driven strategy to growth-driven movement. You begin living life as someone who is growing, not someone who is trying. Becoming an opportunity magnet does not mean saying yes to everything. It means recognizing what aligns with your expansion rather than your fear. You become selective in a new way. You do not choose comfort, you choose evolution. You do not choose familiarity, you choose resonance. Opportunities are not just invitations to succeed, they are invitations to evolve. Each one arrives with a subtle energetic question. Are you willing to become the version of you who can hold this? The moment you answer yes from identity rather than ego, opportunity becomes your natural environment. You start noticing ideas that once seemed invisible, people who were always around but suddenly feel important, and pathways that you never realized existed. You begin feeling guided, not lost. You begin experiencing synchronicity, not coincidence. Your mind becomes tuned to a new frequency, and reality begins rearranging itself to match your internal state.
The final truth is that being an opportunity magnet is not about luck, it is about identity coherence. When your conscious desires and your subconscious beliefs are aligned, life stops feeling like resistance and starts feeling like momentum. You are no longer in survival mode, you are in creation mode. You are no longer running from danger, you are moving toward destiny. You are no longer trying to protect an old version of yourself, you are embodying a new one. The moment you choose to shift from survival identity to expansion identity, everything changes. Opportunity is not something you chase, it is something you become compatible with. And once your subconscious believes expansion is safe, you no longer wait for permission, you live as the one who already has it.